Hello, and on this week's Master Instructor Roundtable, myself, Marty Miller, and fellow Master Instructor Roundtable co-host, Wendy Batts, we are going to be talking about everything networking. Wendy, how you doing today?
I'm great. Marty, how are you?
Good. Well, this one's interesting because I just got back from Ursa, so it was kind of the idea. And Wendy, you were missed. I was sending you photos. We needed Wendy there. We got to see a lot of other people that we grew up in the industry with. But next year, Wendy, especially after today's topic, you got to get there.
Oh, trust me, I wanted to be there, but I have this thing called a 7-year-old. Well, actually, he'll be 7 tomorrow, which is
Happy
crazy.
birthday,
but I know, so birthday boy. But yeah, so I wish I could have gone, but unfortunately, I needed to be home to be a mom, or fortunately, I don't know, whichever way you want to talk about it.
Fortunately.
But yes, I did miss all of you guys, and hearing the stories and getting text messages. I mean, that's actually why we were talking about what we're talking about this week, because it really is about building friendships, building relationships, and actually networking within the industry. And I think that's super important, especially if fitness is your passion. You also want to stay up to date. So I think all of it is really important, and I can't wait to hear more about your trip.
Yeah, and we're not going to just talk about this particular trip, but I think that's what stimulated the conversation, because I got to see some people that we've connected with online. And I think there's a time and a place where the virtual world between either Zoom meetings, team meetings, Instagram, Facebook is great. It's connected us like, way before early on in our career. But I still think there's a time and a place to be able to sit down, try out new products, network, grab lunch, grab dinner. Some people might have grabbed drinks. That wasn't me. But just being around each other, that's where the conversation, the camaraderie, the networking, and really just kind of diving into the details with people really matters. So I will never want to replace in-person networking.
Oh, and I think it's so important, because you know what? It's also nice to put the face and name together, and then realizing that they are someone that you may have this vision of what somebody looks like, and just based on like how they post or what they say and what they think, and then you meet them and you're like, oh my gosh, you're even more incredible in person. And I think just having that one-on-one, and like you said, people are really wanting to get back out there and have that personal interaction. Not like you said, it's better than nothing if we had to just do virtual. But I know when I get together with you, Marty, it's not just always about work, but it's about what's going on in your business, what's going on in your personal life, without digging deep and just, I think all of it is very important. So
Right.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us into what we're going to talk about. So if we look at the intro slide here, we're just planning on talking about growing in the industry, and really asking yourself the question, how are you planning on growing in the industry? What are you doing to better yourself, better your business? Who are the people that you have as mentors, or is that maybe something that you're missing? Because I think that is also a big key to success, is having someone that you look up to. And then, are you attending the key industry trade shows and conferences? There are a bunch that's offered all over, not only nationally, but even worldwide. And, if you want to take a vacation, but you can put the little, conference in there too, it's kind of a win-win. And
I've got one coming out soon in Italy. I'm just saying, check out my social media soon. So if anyone wants a road trip to Italy.
Oh, I want a road trip. Can I send you the price tag too? I'll send you the ticket.
Tony can stay home with the little guy, and now you come to Italy. That's all
right. If I tell him, hey, I'm going with Marty to a conference in Italy, he'd be like, yeah, all right. Well, I'll see you in a month. So, but I think it's really important too to get outside your comfort zone. And Marty and I can probably tell you so many different stories of why that's important. But I mean, actually networking and trying for something that we didn't know if it was within reach. That's actually how we met. And that's actually how I met my husband as well. And so when we say get out of your comfort zone, I mean, in 2005, NASM, they were looking for 2 master instructors. And, back in the day, and this is dating ourselves, but back in the day, we actually flew to Calabasas on our own dime. We had to meet for 2 days. We had to put ourselves up in our own hotel rooms, and basically go in and learn from, all the people from NASM. We had to present, we had to do demonstrations. We had to put some of our bosses basically through an actual workout utilizing the NASM OPT model. And guys, that was super scary and nerve wracking. And I wasn't really good at presenting in front of people. I got really nervous, but it was something that I really wanted. I was super passionate. I wanted to be that girl that people looked up to as a master instructor, because I really believed in what NASM was about. I still do, obviously, or I wouldn't be here. And so I think it's also important to think when you're going through that, you have to sometimes get out of your comfort zone in order to really fight for what you want. And, you know, the one thing that Marty and I talk about, and we kind of laugh about this, but him and I became instant friends. I met him, and instead of looking at him as someone I'm competing with, I looked at him as someone I wanted to grow with, because we had a lot of, just interest, obviously utilizing NASM, but then outside interests as well. And then the beauty of all of it was they ended up hiring all four, and they couldn't choose because we were all so fantastic. And,
Wendy, we thought we were going to dominate the other two.
Yeah. And then they got up and started, teaching. I'm like, dang, they're smart. They're actually really good.
No, we all got along.
But it was really, Marty, you know this. I was so nervous. You were like, oh, it'll be fine. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I think I've got the end, but I didn't. I felt really uncomfortable. But it made me
those early morning Starbucks conversations in the dinners. I remember those.
Yes. And think about this too. If I wouldn't have tried out for NASM, we wouldn't have been in that situation, Marty. We wouldn't have, been able to network. I mean, I've been able to pass people to you when clients are moving towards your area. I know you've reached out to Tony and myself, again, when we were in Arizona and now in Georgia, and having that network of people that you trust and, people that are going to treat your clients better than probably you do even, I think is really important. But it always starts sometimes of doing something that you're not sure if it's the right move, but also going to grow yourself. And even if I wouldn't have gotten the NASM job, would I have been upset? Yes, but it would have made me try even harder and figure out what I could have done to improve myself, grow even more in the industry, and then, start attending more on trade shows and conferences. But I also ended up, like I said, I met my husband out of it. So he was one of the 4 people that I competed against as well. And so you just never know where it's going to take you.
Right. And you guys have heard me say this before. It's actually something that I sent to my boys yesterday from a clip, but you will absolutely become the sum average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So this is why you have to go out and find people. You can't just sit on a computer. You can't just, do your day-to-day thing and expect growth. I'm not saying that can't be a huge part of it, but that truly, you heard what Wendy's goal was, to be that chick. My goal was to be the dumbest one in the room. I figured that would help me out. So if I was in last place in that room, I'm still in that room growing. So, find your why and definitely get out of your comfort zone, but you have to network and you have to be willing to take that chance and that risk and not look for immediate return on investment. That's an investment. It takes time. So yeah, I think you and I, Wendy, we could talk about just that weekend story for the whole time, but we'll move on.
Yes. But it was fun.
Oh, wow.
So Marty, before we dive into, obviously, the trade show that you just went to, which was Ursa, can you tell everyone about what is Ursa for those of the listeners that have never been and really don't know much about it?
Yeah, it's finally back on its normal rotation. Ursa was always generally on the West Coast. So it's the International Health, Racket, and Sports Association. And it's just a conglomeration of people, a lot maybe more club heavy. You'll see people from the private country club industry. You won't really see strength coaches there from sports performance. There's other shows for them. So this is a big, broad brush of the club industry. And that could be boutique studios. That could be big club chains, all the way down to private personal training studios. So there's a couple of different things that happen there. There is the trade show itself. So you're on the floor and you're seeing what all the vendors have, newest and latest and greatest. Obviously, in full transparency, you guys know that my full-time role is vice president of Techno Gym of training and education. So of course, we've got this amazing booth. We bring in the newest products. We bring in master trainers to activate the products. Then from there, we have business meetings. So a lot of people come in and they meet with people that they know that are at the trade show. They have business meetings or dinners. There's some charity work that's done there as well. This year, unfortunately, the founder of Life Fitness passed away, Augie. So they have Augie's Quest. He suffered with ALS. And, so there's things like that. Then there's the whole education track as well. So you can go in there and take different workshops. So it's kind of a lot going on at one time, and it's in San Diego, so it wasn't bad. But right on by the gas lamp district. And then next year it's going to be in Los Angeles. So it's just something that when you and I were prepping and I was going out to Ursa and I was already lining up who I was going to meet with, I'm like, there's a story behind this. Like things don't happen and grow by accident. So, that's why we thought that it could be a good topic for today.
No, I think it's important because, like you said, when we're really talking about which our topic today on the Master Instructor Roundtable with Marty Miller and myself, Wendy Batts, we're talking about networking, and Ursa is huge, and there are so many people that attend this event. And if you are new to the industry and you're not really sure the direction you want to take, I think sometimes attending these conferences, such as Ursa or upcoming in July, there's going to be IDEA. I think those types of conferences, because so many people that are like-minded attend these conferences, and you get to meet them and you get to see what is the difference between a big box gym and a boutique gym, and what is it that maybe you don't have that you want to specialize in now because you've spoken to someone that has really grown something. Whether, we had talked about people that are doing the mobile fitness now, and they're buying these, empty boxes and they're converting them into gyms and they're putting them in parks and driving around. I mean, so there are so many different ideas that pop up in, at these different types of conferences. And I think that it's actually really good. And like you said, on the hands-on part, you can actually sharpen your skills or learn something new about something you didn't even know about.
You didn't know until
That's
you
right.
know.
Yes.
There you go.
There's a couple questions that just came in, Marty. Let's see. My chiropractor says he might be able to use me in his office. What do you think about working in a small clinic like that?
Oh, okay. I can jump in here first. And then Wendy, if you have anything to add, is first and foremost, when they interview you for a job, you're almost so interviewing them for a job. So it comes down to, is it the right fit? Does it help my career path? Is it the environment I want to grow in, or is it an environment I haven't grown in yet that this is going to give me another skill set and tools? So only you can answer that question, right? Maybe you want to get into more sports performance or rehabilitation. So depends what the chiropractor specialty is. Maybe you aspire to go back to school and get those type of degrees. So then I'd say absolutely. If your goal is to maybe get into like a big box gym and get into management, things like that, you may want to go that route and find a different type of position. So I can't say yes or no. I'm just going to pose some questions for you to think about and see if potentially those things line up to where you may think you're heading, or to see the value in it. And, then obviously, hopefully you can make a wise decision.
Yeah. And there was a follow-up question, and I'll actually take this. So these questions are from Josh Black. So Josh, thank you for, bringing your questions up today, because I think they're really good ones and they're important ones. But the follow-up to that is, and what should my focus be as a personal trainer in a chiropractic office? And in my personal opinion, I think that you can grow your business significantly in an office and clinic, such as working with chiropractors or even physical therapists. That's actually, I started in a physical therapy clinic working with some of the top physical therapists in the world. And what it helped me understand was more of corrective exercise, but I also got to work alongside of them to understand if somebody came in and they were having this ache and pain, or they actually had a script because they had seen a doctor and this was wrong with them. I got to see what they were doing to try to, realign the body, which is exactly what the chiropractor is going to do. And then at that point, if they pass them off to you as the trainer, you can activate those other muscles that were weaker, that probably, allowed those compensations to happen. And so once you kind of realign the spine, you realign the body, if you can get really good core activation, you can really think about the corrective exercise information. So the 4-step continuum that Marty and I have talked about a lot. If you don't have it, maybe it's something you want to look into, Josh. But I really think that, you can really help somebody move better, perform better after that chiropractor has done the adjustments. And I think that communication could be, you can learn so much from him as long as you guys are on the same page.
Great advice, Wendy.
Well, yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
Nope. I second everything you just said.
And there was another question about why is Ursa only on the West Coast? And
I'll have to ask them. Ironically, last year was in Miami and the year before was in Dallas and the year before it was canceled, maybe. So I think they were scrambling for a little bit. I think they've always had a home on the West Coast between Anaheim, Los Angeles, and San Diego. I don't know if they feel that they're competing with other trade shows or things like that, but outside of the kind of starting of post COVID, it's always been out on the West Coast. But I
yeah,
don't.
and I also, who wouldn't want to go to the West Coast, especially this time of year? So, it could be, you never know what's going to be happening on the East Coast. I obviously would love for it to be on the East Coast as well, because that 3-hour time difference, I actually live in, outside of Atlanta. So I am 3 hours different from West Coast. It's not always convenient, but unfortunately it is what it is. So, So Marty, before we get into the speakers, there's another question. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to you if you're okay with it. But as a personal trainer, what motivates you to help your clients live a healthy lifestyle and reach their goals?
Okay. So if you're asking me what motivates me, is the fact that I'm helping change people's lives. I had a conversation with somebody today. Wendy, you know where I'll go with this, that has a true deep understanding of psychology, but doesn't understand this industry per se. And Wendy, with what I did for my doctorate, when you realize that everybody knows they should exercise, there's not a person over like 5 years old or 6 years old probably that thinks, nope, I've seen it. Exercise is horrific for me. So you got to ask yourself, why don't they want to? Well, there's a lot of reasons. There's internal struggles. They don't know what to do. They've had bad experiences. But everybody should aspire to be healthy. Everybody should aspire to live the best life they can and be out of pain, be able to do whatever their goals are. So when I can get somebody and start that journey and get them to understand the passion, but and they become passionate, I should say, about it. And they look at, the way I always say it is, it's this race with no finish line, and they start to change their life. Think about the ripple impact that, how do you know they're not going to go home and now and change their kids' lives or their grandkids' lives because they're passionate about it? So that's one thing. And then, working with athletes, you may not do that as much as personal trainers, is how do you take the best and make them just 1% better, right? You really got to sharpen your tools there. So there's the challenge of, how do I get somebody to that next level? But also, how do I get somebody to understand that this is a gift of wellness? And if you're that person that opens their eyes up to that, it is so rewarding, and you are going to be an important part of their life anytime they think about fitness. So to me, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to have to second that too. I mean, that's actually why I went into this industry, is I wanted to change lives. I mean, I think, if you have a client that comes in and you see all of these, compensations, and they're complaining about like low back, the discomfort, because obviously we don't deal with pain, but discomfort, and, you can actually identify something that may help relieve that without them having to get surgery, and then talking to them about making, really focusing about their fitness journey and their life, and that it is a journey. It's a path that they're going to have to really kind of take control of. It is so amazing to watch them hit their goals, see their attitude change, get excited. And I've had clients for so many years, they're really like my family. And I am very protective of my family. So I'm very protective of my clients. And I want to see them continue to, be healthy and happy and mobile and flexible and be able to do the things that they want to do. And just having a little inkling of like them saying, you know what, I did this and you helped me do this. It motivates me all the time, because I want to help everyone. Right. Can't help everyone, but I would like to. So anyway, so before we, one more thing, Samantha, congratulations. She just passed her CPT test. So we are super excited. Well, sometimes I feel that way, but we are super excited for you as well. So congratulations, and glad that you are continuing your wellness path. So
and now she can join the NASM CPT private Facebook page.
Yes. Yes.
So, all
right. So tell me about the speakers, Marty.
Well, that's the other thing. So in these conferences, you get the equipment, you get the vendors, you get the education, but they bring in keynote speakers. There was 3, but I'm a military fan. I love hearing their messages. So where else could you have gotten all this other stuff? And then you get the opportunity to hear from, this time it was Rob O'Neill, right? Very famous part of the whole, story behind, 9/11. But, he talked about, what he did as a Navy SEAL and how that correlates to life. Everyone's going to have tough battles. We all do every day. Everyone's going to have, to face it. But how do you get through those and create that legacy, whether it's a legacy with your family, whether it's legacy in your relationship, whether it's a legacy in the industry. So it's very motivating. So you always get that little bit like fired up a little bit from a keynote if they do a great job. And Ursa always picks great ones. I think most of the associations do a good job vetting people that can draw, that motivation and inspiration for whoever's in the audience.
Yeah, that was one that I really wish I could have seen too. So I love hearing. My family's very big in the military, so those individuals hold a very special key to my heart. So, all right, so let's go on and look at these faces. So as we go through some of these,
you had minds in most of them. You should have been there, and then they would have been yours.
Well, that's okay. You know what? You photograph well in yellow, Marty. So why don't you walk us through a little bit of who you saw and
right.
And
not my favorite color, but we go with what we're assigned. Okay. So not the color that I choose, but so top left, Vernon Griffith. He is such a great human being. He's out of the Virginia Beach area. He's huge on social media. He makes mobility look cool. He's doing what we would do in corrective exercise, but he's adding that, now, it's not his intention to add the Instagrammable part to it. He started this by just posting it for his clients, and then it became this big wave where he is known now within the industry. But he truly understands functional anatomy, thoracic mobility, hip mobility, ankle mobility. He's really dialed in those areas. And this is a guy, I would say that even if you didn't get to meet him, he is a class act, ex-military guy, trains a lot of Navy SEALs with the same techniques. Like, it's not all about just beating people down. So you'll really get some good content from him. But you can, he was at our booth, but you could also check him out online and kind of, get some great ideas. So it was great for me to hang with Vernon for a couple of days. Then that handsome guy in the middle next to Vernon, the other Miller, the other male Miller, Ken Miller, my brother from another mother, regional master instructor for NASM, been with us for 18 plus years, so of course.
My co-host too on Random Fit, guys.
Right. So we're not going to ask you what your favorite Miller is, because that's not fair to him. Just saying, because I've
got two Millers on both podcasts. It's a win-win because I can't mess that up. If I'm not sure, right. I just Mr. Miller.
That's fair. That's fair. But Ken and I are dear friends, so just even getting any time with Ken's always great. Talk shop. And then next to him is Chris Stevenson, who I've known in the industry. He's great at business development. He's on the board of Ursa. So just another phenomenal opportunity. Then the one and only Rodney Korn, who is one of our key mentors. Wendy, how we hold a dear spot in our heart for Mr. Korn. So of course we had to text Wendy the picture and be like, where are you? So great. And then to the one in the middle there. So next to me, you've got Dr. Jason from Therabody. And then next to him, real interesting guy. I had not met him before. Dr. Mike, he's another chiropractor from Move You. He's the guy that does all the painted anatomy and then makes it real fun and walks people through. He's got 1.3 million followers, but he's a smart guy who's made learning anatomy fun. So, it's a great opportunity. So Dr. Jason, I've known forever, introduced me to Dr. Mike, and now he and I are buddies, right? So who knows where, our paths may cross again. But if I wasn't there, if I wasn't networked with Dr. Jason, I wouldn't have met, Dr. Mike. So that's why you put yourself in those surroundings. And there was other people, Brian Nguyen was out there, who was the NASM for a long time, a dear friend. So on and on and on. But it was really just great to connect with everybody in person. And you can see the smiles, right? Because there's just something different being together.
Yeah. And I mean, for those of you guys that did attend Ursa with Marty, I mean, NASM had a big representation there as well. There was a ton of people that went, and I know that they were talking. They had a man there that was painted once again to show movement with paint and body, like the anatomy on the body. So I found that to be pretty interesting. I saw some videos that they had posted, as well as seeing some of our our leadership team was there. I know they were there, people talking about Club Connect. So those of you guys that need continued education, our Club Connect platform is something that you may want to check out as well, because You get fun things to listen to, and then take some quizzes for your CEUs. But I mean, as you said, Marty, you're going through the pictures, and these are people that we have grown up with in the industry, or, again, I've tuned into some of these Instagram channels and learned a lot from some of these individuals. But the bottom left with Rodney Korn, again, he is one of Marty and I's mentors. He is one of the guys that actually, when I told the beginning story that Marty and I actually had to try out for, the master instructor position, he was one of the people I had to put through a workout. So talking about, being really scared, because Rodney is wicked smart. It was nerve-wracking, but he has, since been someone that I call a dear friend, but definitely a mentor that I am so fortunate to have, for sure.
And I have stolen from Rodney a lot, but how he doesn't answer a question. He just continues to guide you in your thought process.
Oh my goodness. If you ever have a question, do not ask Mr. Korn, because you will not get an answer. He will guide you to find the answer yourself.
He's like Yoda. He's like Yoda, but smaller ears, but he's Yoda.
Yes.
But the thing is, though, I've stolen that from him because that's the best way to learn. If I just give the answer, it goes in and out, so that's one of the many things I've stolen from Mr. Korn.
Yes. And if you guys have a chance to go back and you missed our Master Instructor Roundtable that Marty and I did with Dr. Jason and Therabody, that was something that I feel is probably one of my favorite ones that we've done with a guest, because he is very humble, but it's also very interesting to find out a little bit more of why he came out with, the vibration technology that Therabody has. So if you guys get a chance and miss that one, we won a Markham Award for it. So it can't be all that bad.
And, again, learning about how to set back will have, be for a set up. Dr. Jason's story, you need to hear it. You'll appreciate everything, is when he said better. But I'm just saying, he may be coming back in the near future for another version. We've kind of got some ideas.
I love it. He's good people, for sure.
No doubt. So the other things here, they have formal networking. I kind of talked about this a little bit before, but they have their foundation reception. So there's that charity aspect to it. You can see NASM was a big sponsor of that. So obviously, their key leadership is going to be there. So now you can put yourself into a situation where not only do you meet people like myself and Wendy, you can maybe meet some of the administrative office people, those type of key people as well. And again, you're just supporting the industry. We need to support this industry that we're all passionate about. So this is where these different opportunities, show up at any time, that you just kind of like, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there.
Yeah. And I think every conference usually has some sort of like meet and greet, or like you said, some reception, or, they may call it different things, but it's definitely something that you would want to attend, because that's truly where you do get to meet unbelievable. It's amazing. One or two people, and then by the time you leave, 20 more people that like you said, you even met someone just because of Dr. Jason.
Right.
The networking is huge when you go to these types of events.
That's why I go every year. So then here's the a more detailed approach, a detailed kind of view of what you could have learned, right? I mentioned it at the very beginning, but you can see they have little mini sessions, education sessions, classes. You can take a fireside chat. I think they stole that from my coffee talk. I don't know. Keynotes, meetups, go down and down and down, panel discussions. And then on the right, you got the different tracks and things like that. So there's something for everybody. And there's also some things that you may not gravitate to, that you should be like, I'm going to pick one thing that is wildly out of my scope, because who knows?
Mm-hmm.
So I would always encourage, don't just go through the same things all the time. Definitely pick one, like maybe a Pilates if you've never done it, or a yoga, or vice versa. If you're a yoga instructor, go do something with strength training, because there's pieces that you can steal and blend into what you're doing, or you may find a new passion that you never had before.
Yes. And it's really, I think, important in our industry to know a lot, or know a little bit about a lot of the different things, especially if it's modalities, if it is, working with groups, and maybe you're an individual one-on-one trainer, maybe it's going to spark some, hey, maybe this is a business opportunity that you can add in. So, once we said this earlier, it's important to get out of your comfort zone. So if you know a lot about one particular topic, unless you're just really wanting to listen to that person present, do something completely different. Go into things that you know nothing about, because it is only going to help you. And then it brings up conversations when you're working with your clients, when they say, hey, do you know anything about BFT or, BFR? And it's like, if you're like, well, what are all these, what does that even stand for? you already know, okay, so blood flow restriction, yeah, this is what it does. These cuffs are amazing. However, right now, I think we should do this. So it just kind of helps too with a conversation builder, or help answer questions when your clients will come up with them, because they will, especially if you have them for a really long time. But I think it's very important. And we talk about continuing education. So Samantha, you just passed. Now you've got to get in 2 years, 2.0 CEUs to recertify. So, maybe looking into some of these live conferences is something that maybe you want to look into, because it's super fun.
Right. Very cool. All right. So key takeaways. And if you're interested in this, Wendy and I have done some podcasts on this before, Master Instructor Roundtables, you'll be able to find them. Do you have a personal and professional growth plan? You're not going to get there by accident. You've got to have a plan. Now, the plan can change all the time, but if you have a plan, you start down a path, and that's where you need to make a change, because you're on a path. Just staying stagnant, that's not the way to do it. There's value without a doubt in connecting in person. You've got to get back to that. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to get in front of people, and then plan now, so it's not an issue. Don't wait to the last minute for your CEUs. That's where I hear about the expense, not the investment. Same thing. Don't wait to the last minute to see if you can get somewhere. You've got to make a plan, and then you're committed.
Yeah. And I think, guys, Marty and I love to do these master instructor roundtables. We do, because we're here really to truly educate you guys. So if there is something that you want us to talk about, if there's, you're going through the textbook and you're like, I truly don't understand this. Well, first of all, we've done a ton of different topics already. So you may want to look into some of the ones that we've done in the past. And if you can't find it, then send us an email and say, hey, listen, can you talk about this? And Marty and I will look at our calendar and try to see when and where we can fit it in based on the other topics that we've gotten. But I just want to say too, that for those of you guys that have reached out to Marty and I, we love getting emails and hearing from you about what you think of these. We recently just got a email from one of our listeners. His name is Rocco. And Rocco, Marty and I, we talked about you actually all weekend, because we got your email this weekend, and, listening to what he had to say, very grateful. So we are very grateful that he listens, but also too, the fact that we were able to help him pass his CES exam on the first try by going back and listening to some of the topics that he wasn't sure of. We have covered, I think it was on subsystems. And, and he was just very gracious. And so we just want you guys to know that we're very gracious for all of you guys for listening. Marty and I are very humbled that we actually have listeners, but also to just know that we do this for you. We want to help you grow in the industry. And so please feel free, and we'll put our information up here next, but you can always reach out to us at any time. And, you can email me personally. My email is wendy.batts@nasm.org, or you can find me on Instagram if that's easier, at wendy.batts13.
And then my information is popping right up. So my Instagram is dr.martymiller72, and then email marty.miller@nasm.org. So Wendy, it's always a pleasure. Hopefully our audience got some great information. I know that I'm excited about this topic, because we wouldn't be here if we didn't put ourselves out there. And hopefully if we even motivate just one person to take that chance, then it was worth it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important too. Networking is everything, guys. That's how you build your business. Get to know people.
Absolutely. Right. Get outside that comfort zone for sure. Yes. So with that being said, we can't thank you enough. And as Wendy mentioned, feel free to reach out to us. We will always put thought into the comments you give us on topics, but we appreciate you so much. And we look forward to seeing you next week on the Master Instructor Roundtable.